Today we're going to talk about the police using radar to pull you over, how that works, and what the limitations are. That's up next. Hey, hold my beer. Today we're talking about police using radar to pull you over for speeding. But there's 5 different types of equipment that police officers use to pull you over. At least here in Central Florida, other agencies and throughout the United States may use something else. But here in Central Florida and Florida in general, we're using radar, laser, aircraft, visual, and pace clock. Now there's a couple things that are outdated that aren't being used, like VASCAR, and I'm sure there's technology coming up in the future that's going to make some new things that the police officers use there as well. So keep that in mind. We're recording in mid-2018 right now. If you're watching this a couple years from now, there might be something new. And if you find that, add that in the comments below. Didn't Mythbusters do a show about this? So there are a lot of misconceptions about how the police use radar, how accurate it is, and where it can be used and how it can be used. I want to break that down for you right now. Today we're going to discuss radar, but I'm in the middle of creating one for laser as well. Insider information on how to actually beat a laser ticket. I think it's probably the easiest of all of them to beat. If you want access to that, look in the description below and I'll put a link. So with regard to the radar, we're talking about vehicle-based radar units. There's handheld units as well, but I'm not talking about those today. They work the same way, they're just more limited, and I want to talk about more of the expanded use of a vehicle-mounted system. So the vehicle-mounted system has 3 real parts. It has a counting unit that actually goes up on the officer's dash or hanging somewhere in the rearview mirror, somewhere in the front where the police officer can see it. They have standard mounting directions. Anyways, you don't care about that. But that counting head has a spot on it for your speed, the patrol car's speed, as well as a fastest speed section. Connected to the counting unit are 2 antennas, and it's connected through cables that are run down, just like if you've messed with speaker wires and run speaker wires. We do the same thing in cop cars. Run one to the back deck behind the passenger seats. That sits in the window there. I installed all my own. It wasn't something professionally done, and used L-shaped brackets, got it put where I wanted to. Put one in the back there, one in the front in the front windshield, and I was good to go. I can now detect speed, people coming up from behind, people coming towards me, just about any direction, either to or from. But what it doesn't allow me to do is detect perpendicular traffic. That was a poor choice of words, but I think you get what I'm saying. So I deal with a lot of people that get speeding tickets, and I get all kinds of comments from them about how they were moving or they were stationary so the cop couldn't get them, and they're wrong all the time. They're just wrong. Here's the deal. As technology improves, so does the police radar units. When I started out, radar was only working in stationary mode. Then they got into moving mode and stationary. Great. Then the next upgrade was same direction. If you're driving down the road at 60 miles per hour and the police officer's behind you driving at 50 miles per hour, he can activate the radar, and even though you're moving in the same direction, clock what your vehicle's doing. There has to be an offset in speed there. I think it's like 3 to 5 miles per hour in order for the radar to pick up. Whole nother topic. But that didn't exist when I was a young trooper, or it existed, but it was like an upgraded model. And I always had a couple-year-old model, never got the newest, latest, greatest. Most of the radars getting put out today these days have that ability. So as police departments upgrade, then radars going into the circulation will have that ability to check same direction. Let's talk about some of the weaknesses with radar. First of all, curves. Curves are your friend, because as you're going through a sweeping curve, the way the radar works is that it lowers your speed. So if you're going 60 miles an hour through that curve, the radar beams are going to detect that you're actually going 52 miles per hour, just depending on the degree of the curve and the degree of the measurement. There also has to be a somewhat straight on reading of you. You couldn't be sitting off at too much of an angle. The more of an angle, the lower the speed is going to be or show up on your radar as well. Larger vehicles are also a problem here too, because the radar unit works just like a submarine. It sends out these pings, and whatever comes back is what it's measuring. Well, if you're driving next to a Greyhound bus down the road, that Greyhound bus is going to reflect more signals than your small car. So the dominant signal going back to the radar unit is going to be the bus. So even if you're slightly in front of the bus, or if you're traveling faster than the bus, the police officer's radar unit is going to read the bus's speed until your proximity to the radar overpowers the size of the bus and the signals that it's sending back to the radar. The point is, if you're next to a semi-truck, that's good news for you. They're going to read the semi-truck speed instead of your speed. However, it doesn't mean you're in the clear. What I've done in the past as a police officer is I see the semi-truck, I get the semi-truck going at 60 miles per hour, and you're clearly pulling out. If the speed limit is 50 miles per hour, I know you're speeding by at least 10 miles per hour, and I still pull you over. So there's that angle as well there. By the way, my threshold was closer to 25, 30 miles per hour than 10 miles per hour. I did write some tickets, no doubt about that, especially my younger days, but as I got doing this longer and longer, 20, 30 miles per hour is where I would pull people over at, which is kind of crazy. But before that officer can make the stop, he has to do three things. He has to make a visual observation of your speed. That's him using his eyes and training to establish how fast he thinks you're going. Now that visual estimation of speed only a split second to do, so that's something that happens real quick. The next thing he has to do is compare that visual observation to the audio Doppler tone. See, the radar units all make a sound like this. As that pitch changes up and down, it's consistently changing with the speed of the vehicle. The faster the vehicle's going, the higher the pitch. The slower the vehicle's going, the lower the pitch. So the police officer compares his visual estimation of the speed to that sound and then makes a determination whether that's a match or not. Finally, after making the visual estimation, hearing that audio Doppler tone, the officer looks to the radar unit. Once he looks at the radar unit, he's looking at the counting heads and he's verifying the speeds are consistent with what he saw and what he heard. If they're not, they almost always are, then you discard it. If it is consistent, then you drive on, pull that person over, and write your 12 tickets, whatever you got going on for that person. I used to mess with people with my radar. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But first, if we haven't met yet, my name's Jeff Lauder. I spent 18 years in law enforcement before switching sides and going to criminal defense. I got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge back up in here to share with you. So that's what this video is all about, sharing my police and legal knowledge at the same time to help you overcome your problems. I used to do this. I would get behind cars that would have radar detectors and I'd mess with them. So I'd hit my radar, activate it front, and then watch the radar unit blow up. They'd slow down. And then I would hit it in the rear mode and test what type of signal strength that would give. And I could see literally behind them at night, I could see their radar unit pop up with the different levels. And then I would blast them with it, watch it jump through the hoops or skyrocket up, and kind of fun, maybe a dork, I don't know. Also, when I was on my way home, I used to drive with my radar on all the time. Now, this wasn't some type of trick. In fact, it was kind of a life hack for me. When I'm going home, I wanted everybody in the world to know that I'm a police officer. Stay away from me. I'm on my way home. Don't do anything dumb in front of me that I might be forced to take action on. And by driving with my radar on, I was able to broadcast to everyone in front of me that there's a state trooper patrol car coming through, and anybody that had a radar detector, and hopefully that would limit my chances of a negative police interaction, which would limit or prevent me from going home. So if the cops are behind you and you don't want police interaction, just get out of the way. If you want to be stubborn, great, but you may be asking for additional attention from somebody like me back in the day. Just want to get home, guys. If you'd like to learn about the different types of equipment that police use to pull you over for speeding, let me know. I'll make another video, and if I do, I'll add a link to it here. We'll create a series on it. If you receive a speeding ticket by an officer using a laser, that's probably the easiest one for you to fight in court. So I'm going to create a video on how to fight that in court, what you can do to increase your chances of winning. I think you should win most of them if you do this thing right. I'm not going to make that video publicly available. What I'm going to do is put a link down below to an opt-in page. You fill out the opt-in form. At that point in time, I'll email you a link to the video, and that way you can watch it. But I'm going to give you some good content. Trust me. God bless, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Have a great day.